welcome to the Coach Teddy Keaton Show. I'm Sylvester Williams. They call me Sly, the sports guy, and I'm joined by the one and only Coach Teddy Keaton.
How you doing, Fly?
I'm relaxed, Coach.
Me too. You know, one thing about a bye week, you can't win or you can't lose.
There you go. Relax. Time to get back, get to know the family once again in the bye week, go and kiss the wife, hug the kids, all that type of stuff,
I got
relax.
to teach my son how to count in his hands. He was using his fingers and he was trying to learn. So I've been able to do a little bit of that this week.
See, hey, man, that's why we love the bye week, man. We love the bye week. Relax a little bit, man. Need to relax. So it was a bye week for the Clark Atlanta Panthers. Clark got to take the week off, got to relax, got to try to nurse some of the injuries and some of the little bugs going around. Coach, how did you attack the bye week, man? What did you do? Break down your bye week.
Well, a lot of it was focusing in on us. The one thing I learned about my team is that when you have a lot of young kids on the team, you lack peer leadership.
Oh, yeah.
So we started the leadership circle. We worked on leadership for our kids and trying to teach them what it means to be leaders amongst themselves. I always said, and it's this old saying that say coaches-led teams go 6-5, player-led teams win championships. So I felt that we needed to work on our players and helping them learn how to become better leaders on the field.
I got you. Now, you talk about having a young team, and then you talk about leadership. Now, does it ever happen where you have some of those youngsters step up and become leaders in certain situations, or how does that happen?
Well, unfortunately, we had to put a lot of our kids in a lot of grown-up situations. We had a lot of kids that were older, clear, what we call super seniors, that were from those teams that prior to me getting here. So we retained a lot of those kids, and a lot of those kids, I don't want to say that they didn't know how to lead or they didn't understand leading, but they were used to one thing. They were used to losing. So sometime when losing creeps into your organization, you have to understand that if you don't know how to win, they don't know how to teach somebody else how to win because they only see the situations they've been they only purview to the situations that they've been seeing. So we had to reshape the mindsets of our young people so we don't spread that. So what you do is you kind of, right now we're playing with possibly 14 to 16 brand new kids. I'm talking about freshmen straight out of high school. Some don't even have scholarships, walk-ons on the team. So getting them in the right mindset of understanding what to do, how to do it, and why it's important to do that way, how to play the next play, how to overcome adversity. All those things have to be taught to them so that they'll learn that, when one bad thing happens, that does not define what the team should be. And we also had to set some goals on what we want this year's team to look like. And I know some of that stuff sounds like stuff that you do at the preseason. Yes, we did some of that stuff in the preseason, but sometimes the reminders have to be set. Sometimes it has to be established in each kid and let those kids understand what is my role, how does my role defined on this team, and what can I do to help the team be good, and what's clearly expected of me every week in and week out. So I was very happy to be able to do that with my team.
I got you. Now, that's interesting, too. You also talked about the mindset, the mind state, of having a winning mentality and not having a losing, not accepting being a loser. It sounds cold, but that's what it is, not accepting being a loser. Now, when it comes to kids that you recruit, Coach, do you recruit kids? When you're recruiting a high school senior, are you looking at winning programs? Is that part of the reason? Is that part of the?
There's no doubt about that. Especially, I've been living in life of taking over programs that have done bad. So my ultimate goal is to get them to try to win fast. The faster I can get them to win, the more winning programs want to send their kids to it. You have to establish a culture of winning in order for winning kids, especially in nowadays. They don't want to be a part of no struggles. They don't want to be a part of no up and coming. Everything has to be a vibe, or it has to be something that's lit, or it's got to be something that they want to be a part of. Nobody's blue-collar workers no more. Everybody's entrepreneurs. Everybody want to pave the way, and I'm not working for no one. So it's the same mentality on the football field. And when I preach the mentality is I think the number one thing, and I started on this when I was at Allen, is looking at the emotional intelligence that a kid possesses. A lot of times you can look at their family dynamics and understand that a lot of them don't come from families that practice emotional intelligence. And that's the ability to be able to digest things even when they're going good, even when it's going bad, and knowing how to process that information. And I think a lot of kids have to be taught that.
Okay. Now, let's move on a little bit to the week. Your practicing setup. It's been a physical year so far. Been a physical year. Had a couple of kids go down with injuries. So now when you had that off week, you got a whole week off. Are your practices like mostly just walk-through practices, or how do you do it? They out there in helmets and shorts?
Helmets and shoulder pads. We do shells, what we call shells. The first week we didn't do any shells. The bye week we didn't do shells. We did a lot of rediscovering on defense, rediscovering on offense, letting some guys that normally wouldn't get reps. It's a chance to slow down, a chance to be able to, now that you don't have the pressure of preparing for another game, you're actually focusing on what players might be able to help you in certain situations. So you move players around. You might take a running back and put him at corner. You may take another running back and put him at safety. You may take a D lineman and get him some reps at O-line just so you can, see if those guys, they may have played in their history of us recruiting them, they might have played both ways if they went to a 4A or 5A school. So that some of those kids can play on both sides of the ball, and maybe we got somebody that's sitting at the third string at a running back that could really help us on defense. It gives you an opportunity to let him go over and get some reps that you're not preparing for a game. He just go through one-on-ones and 7-on-7. You get it on tape and see that if a kid can help you in those manners.
And that's interesting because sometimes you might find that diamond in the rough like that. One of the, I guess, the good advantages of having an off week. Now that you're halfway through the season, you're about halfway through the season, who are some of the surprises that you had at some players? Who kind of shocked you a little bit? When you recruit somebody, you expect them to play. You expect them to be good. But who's somebody you was like, okay, I didn't know this would be his year?
Well, I think my left tackle, he's from McKeachin High School. I can't call his name right now. It's just drawing a blank on him. But he has surprised me a lot. I thought he did a really good job. He's a true freshman playing in that role and jumping into it. That's the blind side of protecting the quarterback. He's had a little bit of an injury. So last week he kind of had to be rotated in and out. Okay. But I thought he did a really good job as a freshman going in and doing what he do. And on defense, obviously, Von Mitchell. We knew he was that dude on at defensive back, and he's a great guy, and he's a true freshman, and he's made a lot of plays, made a lot of tackles. There's a couple of other guys on the team that we think that stepped up and given us an opportunity to be great. Now, my young quarterback, I wasn't, he got to play 2.5 quarters at Allen. Xavier Jackson did, and I thought he did a tremendous job when he got in the game, and he threw for like 234 or something like that. Then he turns around and get his first full game. His first full game as the quarterback, I felt that he played with a tremendous amount of confidence, and he threw for 388 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I thought he did everything he could do to help the team. He's the biggest surprise. Well, I wouldn't say a surprise. We kind of knew who he was, but we wasn't expecting him to play right now. We was hoping that he kind of grow, he kind of learn. There's another guy, Krishan Sellers. He's another freshman that has stepped into a role that we thought that, maybe he would be okay. But, he going out, 130-something yards, all-purpose yards, then another 100 yards receiving plus 2 touchdowns. The guy's almost, he's phenomenal football player right here from Atlanta. I think there's a lot of other guys that I just won't mention, but there's a lot of guys that have surprised us or maybe teetering right along that area of what we thought they would be when we recruited them.
Yeah, that's interesting. You speak of some of these guys, like the 2 freshmen. Now, I wasn't familiar because I live in Georgia. I know where Mitchum, Grayson. I know the history of Grayson, and because I lived in South Fulton for so long, I know the history of Langston Hughes. So seeing Sellers, when you get kids from those 2 programs, you're going to have players. And then you look at Jackson. You look at the lineage, the quarterback lineage from where Jackson is from. Michael Penix played first. Then you had David Wright.
That's right.
And now you have Xavier Jackson. So,
correct.
So you I guess I don't know much about that Tampa Tech program, but looking at the kids that came out, I guess it's a pretty good program.
Well, what's interesting about Tampa Bay Tech, they do a really good job. It's like a school where they go and learn. It's a technical school. So they're able to pick from a lot of the schools in Hillsborough County, and they're able to get players from each school, and those schools kind of go there to learn learn a trade, and then to be able to get their high school diploma and then go off to college and play. So I think it just does a variety of pulling players from certain areas that allow them to be good every year. I think if you're a recruiter and you have never visited Tampa Bay Tech, I've been recruiting Tampa Bay Tech since 1999. So you're talking about I had a lot of lineage from that school over the course of years. And Hillsborough County's been really good to us too. That's a place, the Tampa Bay area, the greater Tampa area. There's a lot of players that's played for us at multiple different places, not just at here at Clark, Atlanta. We talking about dating back all the way to my time at Stillman, when I was an assistant at Stillman, all the way to when I became a head coach at Stillman. We've been getting players from Tampa Bay Tech.
Okay. Rich area down there, that Tampa Bay area. Rich area with some football players down there. Kids out there playing good and looking good. And speaking of looking good, man, I got to pull out my Be the Reason sweater right here, Coach. I got the Be the Reason on the arm, the nice panther right here on the chest, man. Once again, I'm in the Anthony Lawrence collection. I want you to go and check him out. Go to his website, www.anthonylawrencecollection.com. You can go and check him out, or you can go on Instagram, The New College Flavor. Check him out on Instagram, and you can see all of the designs, the nice clothes, and everything that Anthony Lawrence has. A couple of the different collections. It's a Teddy Keaton collection for the Anthony Lawrence, AnthonyLawrence.com, AnthonyLawrenceCollection.com. Deshaun Jackson has a collection. I want to say
Deion Sanders.
Deion had a partnership with them too. So go on his website, check out some of the clothes that it's mostly HBCU stuff. He's licensed by a lot of HBCUs. So go and find your favorite HBCU and go and support the Anthony Lawrence Collection, AnthonyLawrenceCollection.com, so you can get nice and smooth like me, Coach. You get nice and smooth like me. Boy, I tell you, I like it. Feel good, man. Feel like I'm somebody, man.
Gotcha.
All nice and soft on me, Coach. I feel good. But, yeah, now we talked about the off week. Now we're in the present week, Coach. Now we're getting ready for Albany State. Albany State has been running through the conference. They're preseason number one, and they've been making people pay, Coach. They've been going down, and they've been putting the wood to some people. So what's the mentality of your team? Where's your team at right now in their head, Coach? They're coming off a couple of losses, coming off a couple of bad losses. So where's their mentality at coming into this game?
It's not about them, it's about us.
Uh-oh.
It's about what we do. It's how we execute. It's always about you never play against no one else. It's about what you bring to the table, how you're going to execute, how we're going to deliver every day. And that's what we've been trying to teach our kids. You play against a faceless opponent. For 60 minutes, you need to dominate your box and do your job and do what's asked of you, and the outcome will take care of itself. And a lot of times that's difficult to teach to a young group of kids. But I think that over the time, they're buying into our mantra that, yes, we're taking some L's. We have taken some losses. So you got to teach people how to win. You got to teach people how to lose, and they got to learn how to get something out of it. Today I talked about a failure. A failure is going to happen, but one thing about me is I'm going to figure out how can I get the lesson out of that failure. So all those games that we had, the last two games in particular, where we lost our quarterback, we lost 2 or 3 DBs, we lost a couple D linemen, we lost the O linemen. Those games there, we chopped that up to show those guys they got their first couple games where they had to play. Some of those guys got inserted right at a time where we needed them to step in. And I thought they did a tremendous job in certain areas. Then they got another game where they got a full game against a true, really good, 2 good power football teams that they stepped in and played, but I think that was a lot to put on them sometimes as pressure when you walk into a game. So we had to teach them how to calm down, settle down. If you do everything every day at a consistent basis, it just becomes practice to you. And I think a lot of those guys got nervous. You know how it is. You get into a game and you think that this is my first game. Oh, mama watching, everybody watching, and I'm trying my best not to make a mistake. Instead of just relaxing, settling down, and do what you do at practice every day.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you got to get all those nerves out your system. Just get out there and treat it like you've been treating it all week in practice and just go ahead and play. Now, we're getting prepared for this game. You guys go on down to Albany State. How does that work? Because technically it's an in-state game, so Albany State is 2.5 hours away from here. Do you all travel? Wait, I'm not even sure the time of the game, Coach. Is it
at 2 o'clock, I believe?
Oh, it's a 2 o'clock game. So do you guys get up in the morning and drive down there, or do you leave
Not
Friday
at a
night?
2 o'clock game. You leave Friday night. You'll leave Friday at about 12 or 1 o'clock.
Okay.
You get down there, you get your schedule in, you get to work out, get a walkthrough at somebody's high school or in the parking lot of the hotel. You watch film. You get everybody coached up on the last few things you want to coach up. Then they go to bed. We have what we call prayer. We have prayer that night. We get a speaker come in, talk to the team. After that speaker leaves, then we put them to bed. Then we get up the next morning. We might have an early morning what we call play the game. Make sure everybody know what to do, how to do it, and why it's important for them to do it that way. Substitution changes and things of that nature. Change of pace move. Then after that, we load up. We probably go eat pregame. Then we head to the stadium and we get ready for kickoff and play football.
All right. I know you was talking about that walkthrough, trying to find a place to have it. I know they serious about football down there in Albany. The high schools might not let you practice because you might have to just practice in the parking lot. I know they serious down there, Coach.
Well, they want you to recruit their kids.
Oh, okay.
So once you go down there, it's an opportunity. I think it works out well for everybody. As long as they're not playing on Friday night, if you get there Friday early in the daytime, about 2 or 3 o'clock, now the kids are just getting out of school or they getting ready to go wherever they're about to go to play a game. It kind of works out for them that their kids get to walk, talk, shake our hands, see us in person, see a college team practice on their field. So a lot of the high school coaches are open to that. Being that high school kids are very under-recruited right now, they definitely want an opportunity. And then it gives us a chance sometime to see some of their players that they have walk around in jerseys. Then you get to ask the coach, well, who is that guy right there? You know, tell me about him. It's places that you wouldn't normally go, that you may get one of these 1A high schools or 2A high school that they be like, okay, and then you go down like, you know, I remember playing at Allen and we went to Dooley County, and I had never been to Dooley County down there, and when I went to Dooley County, they had some big boys down there, but it's a 1A, 2A school. You find out about Coffee County. Yeah, everybody know about the Lees, the Valdosters and all those places there, but who knows about, you know, those little small town teams. And now you found a superstar down there.
Okay. So you have them down there. They get down to Albany. I don't know if it's Albany or Albany. I don't know which one it is, Coach. I catch it from both sides. So
it's Albany State to me. It's always been that, and I don't know no better. But you know, as I said before, we're excited about the opportunity. It's a chance to get to play. My kids got the rest. They're you know, today is our first day of practice back from them being on fall break. They had a little bit of time to be with their families and go back home, reset their minds, because you know, going to Clark Atlanta is not just about, and I have to remember that we're an educational institution, that we really pride ourselves on the education part. So those guys go through a lot. It was midterm week last week. It's for them to be able to push through, going through their midterms, trying to get better as a football player, and, you know, getting their mind right for taking their midterms exams so they can do well in their prospective field of studies. So when those guys came back, I'm just hoping that their mind is right now. They got a chance to refresh it. I try not to do too much to push them over the edge, just to get them right where I need them to be, and hopefully we come back out here this week. And I wouldn't say hopefully, I think everybody's ready to play a football game again.
You know, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up the fact that, you know, these kids, they are students. They are students. They have to study. They have to take these midterms and stuff like that. You know, they're different. They're different. You know, I concentrated when I was in college, you know, before I graduated, I concentrated on being the best spades player on campus. I was good at spades on campus. You know, all those other classes, I started to get serious to later on. But Clark Atlanta is one of one of the premier institutes, when it comes education and the academic side. So, you're dealing with some kids who do it on the field and off the field also. So that's always a great thing, a great thing to have. Well, Coach, we're getting ready for this game. Y'all picked out the uniforms and all that yet? You got your.
We're not quite that far yet.
Okay, you're not gonna let who was your uniform picker?
Armand is our guy who likes to dress us.
Okay.
I mean, he thinks he has all the swag and the style. So, when he tells us what we're gonna wear, I let them do that. That's something the kids they get a kick out of going in, and they argue back and forth about. Now, if it gets to the point where we can't come up with one, then I just make a decision, and this is what we're gonna wear, and we're moving on.
Gotcha.
But I think they do. They love it. They love the opportunity to be able to pick out their clothes, just like going to school. They know how big the Albany State game is to us, and we're starting what we call the third quarter of our season now. So when we're in this third quarter, I thought, for us to come out in the first and second quarter, we came out 2-3 of a rigorous. I think our schedule was really tough and we played a tough one to come out 2-3. Now we're just trying to figure out how we're gonna finish in the middle here for the third and fourth quarter, and we got another rigorous schedules that's shaping up in the SIAC to be a dominant SIAC, run for the championship right now for those teams that with 1 or 2 losses. But, it's a lot of people that can wreck a lot of people's parties, and we hoping to be one to show up and wreck some parties.
Yeah, I tell you, man, we got to have a talk with Dr. Holloman. I don't know if you owe him money or something, but he ain't do you no favors with that schedule. That schedule is tough, Coach. You got to.
Well, you always look at it like this: when you play for the championship the next year, usually the next season, it's like the draft. You get the last picks.
Yeah.
so you won, so you're the number 1 team, so you get the worst picks. So it becomes now the schedule kind of don't work in your favor. Now you got to really build it back up, and I think that's the luxury of playing football. A lot of people don't understand the consistency that the University of Alabama displayed in this day and age of college football. And being able to say that I ripped off 2 or 3, the consistency that Georgia is trying to display in there, it's very difficult to compete every year for a championship. And that's why some teams go a whole century before they ever show back up for a championship. But some teams, if they got the right consistency and build the right pieces, they show up every week. But that is the new landscape of what college football look like nowadays.
That's what it is, Coach. That's what it is. Well, getting ready. This Saturday we'll be going down to Albany State. So all you Clark Atlanta Panther fans, make sure you team on up and head on down 75 or 85 and get off that interstate and find your way on over to the center of the state to Albany, so you can go and support your Clark Atlanta Panthers as they get ready to go and take out the Albany State. What are they, Grams? I don't know.
Well, you won't have me
Golden
on
Rams or something?
The Golden Rams. That's who they are.
Golden something.
But the Panthers coming.
They coming. Panthers usually eat Rams. Well, this is the Coach Teddy Keaton Show on HBCU Game Day. I'm Sylvester Williams. He's Coach Teddy Keaton. We'll see you next week on the Coach Teddy Keaton Show on HBCU Game Day.